Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning's webinar on crime prevention for the business community. I want to thank you all for registering and being here this morning. My name is Lisa Adamos. I'm with the City of Pleasanton's Economic Development Division, which is housed in our city manager's department. And I want to thank everyone here on the panel that has joined us today to provide the expert information and advice regarding the subject. I did want to mention that the city just recently adopted our 5-year strategic plan, which is called One Pleasanton. And the mission of that plan is to prioritize our residents and businesses by delivering a wide array of exceptional public services to support a safe, sustainable, and inclusive community. And this meets one of the multi-year goals of safeguarding our city. So I want to thank the Pleasanton Police Department on this collaboration. And to start us off, I want to introduce Chief David Swing of the Pleasanton Police Department.
Well, good morning, Lisa. Thank you. And thank you to Lisa and to Lieutenant Roy Gamez for coordinating today's event. As I jumped on as a panelist, I saw the group of talented Pleasanton Police Department professionals that are here on the call today. Candidly, seeing this A team, I wish I could stay for the entire call because I'm confident that it's going to be a really fruitful and productive conversation. So I'm glad to see everyone. Thank you to the team for taking time out of your morning today to be here. You know, the business community partnership is critical to our success as a police department. And we are really proud of the fact that when we did a survey about 3 months ago or so, the business community had the highest ratings of feelings of safety. We looked at residents, visitors, and businesses, and our business community had a 98.4% feeling of safety, of being extremely or somewhat safe. And that, I think we're really proud of that. And I think that speaks to the partnership that we have with our business community and recognizing that our businesses for any city, especially here in Pleasanton, are truly a key ingredient in the recipe for a healthy and safe community. And so I appreciate everyone taking the time to jump on the call today, and those that might watch this later as a recorded platform. We, as a police department, are honored to partner with you and to help you grow in your business and be successful and do whatever we can to contribute to the health and safety of One Pleasanton. So again, Lisa, thank you for putting today's event together. Lieutenant Gamez and the rest of our PTD team. It's great to see you all on the call, and thank you for your support. And thank you, of course, to our business community for supporting us throughout the years. So, Lisa, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Chief Swing. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Roy Gamez of the Investigations Unit of the Pleasanton Police Department.
Good morning. Welcome to this presentation. I just want to kind of set the stage, how we're going to move forward with this. This is not your normal crime prevention presentation that we would normally go to, like an HOA, for example. This is really catered to businesses in our city. So we had to kind of just massage it a little bit to feature your guys' needs. So I just want to introduce our group of presenters today. And you're going to have Sergeant Bilt, who is facilitating the meeting on our behalf. He's part of the Youth Community Services Unit. Sergeant Piddle, he oversees our Criminal Investigations Unit. He's the supervisor for that group. We also have ARU Officer Ryan Touche. He's a former crime prevention officer, has a wealth of experience in regards to CPTED. He'll cover more of that later on. And then you have our TLO officer, Luke Olson. He's going to bring you or share some information, more of a larger scale nationally in what we're seeing. And then you have our crime analyst, Christine Guevara. She has a unique experience skill set because she was also a former dispatch supervisor. So she'll be able to shed some light there. Again, welcome. I hope this you gather some takeaways from this, and just keep in mind that I'm always available. If you need any kind of questions clarified or anything moving forward, just feel free to reach out to me. And I'm sure we can provide that information later on in this presentation, but I have to step away from another meeting. I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa so we can kick this off. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Gomez. So I think Marty's going to share we have a slideshow, and then Officer TJ is going to go ahead and go ahead and start us off. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ryan Tujay. I'm with the Pleasanton Police Department Alternative Response Unit. As you heard, Lieutenant Gamma State used to be the crime prevention officer for the city of Pleasanton, as well as the Business Watch crime prevention police officer. We'll go ahead and start the slide. Marty, you can go to the next slide. Business protection attendees will gain insight into fortifying their business premise against theft, vandalism, and other security threats. Topics will include securing entrances, installing surveillance systems, and implementing access control measures. The Pleasanton Police Department will highlight the benefits of collaboration within the businesses community to prevent crime. This segment showcases how businesses can work together to share information, resources, and best practices to enhance security. Reporting and communication. Attendees will be educated on timely reporting suspicious activities, crimes, or other emergencies. The presentation will emphasize the significance of a robust reporting system for businesses and how to establish effective lines of communication with law enforcement. The objective of the Crime Prevention Unit, their mission is to foster feelings of safety, educate the public, reduce property loss and associated costs, improve quality of life, maintain property values, create positive relationships between the public and police, reduce fear, and attract economic development. So the big thing about CPTED that you may have heard earlier, which is crime prevention through environmental design. Essentially what this is altering the landscape around your businesses, whether it be through changing the landscape to implementing lighting. I'm going to get into that here right now. With CPTED, you have what's called natural surveillance, and that is the people within your business, within your employees, or you yourself. It's basically opening up your windows to your business. So when I approach a business and evaluate a property, I'm looking to see if the blinds are down and closed. I understand that we're trying to control the light that comes into the building, but we don't necessarily want to have all the blinds closed or drapes brought across the windows, because we want you to be able to look outside. We want your employees to look outside so that they can see what's going on outside and see things naturally observed. Also implementing lighting and landscaping in the windows. You heard me talk about that. With lighting, I'm also going to explain to you, I want you to be very careful with the lighting. I want you to have your lighting directed in very specific directions. That way you don't have light pollution with your neighbors. Many of you in the downtown area are aware that you have tenants upstairs that may be living upstairs or living nearby your businesses, and we don't want light pollution into their homes. So it's important that you have the lighting directed in the right location. So territorial reinforcement is essentially defined areas. It's a sense of ownership of your property. This has to do with controlling the landscaping, so you don't have overgrowth on the bushes, trees. The rule of thumb on a property is you don't want anything higher, a bush no higher than 3 feet, anything 3 feet and lower. And then trees, you don't want any branches hanging lower than 7 feet. You want proper signage to your business, whether it be for parking, and advising individuals who may be parking illegally or in the spots associated to your business. You want that signage to be visible and up and high. You want high reflection on those signs so that they can be seen at night as well. That allows the police department to come in and enforce parking violations. If we don't have proper signage, there isn't much we can do. Access control. That's controlling the entry into your site. If you have somebody, many of you have an alarm. You open your business, an alarm goes off in the sense of like there's a bing to tell you that somebody has walked in through your front door. That's great, but that's also an indication of you coming out. If you're the only person at the shop or the business, I want you to come out, and obviously many of you know this. You're going to want to greet the individual walking into your business, and letting them know that there is somebody there. One of the worst things you could do is say, "Hey, I'll be there in a minute," because in a minute's time, a lot of things can take place, a lot of theft. And so whatever you're doing at the time when someone walks into your business, and again, many of you, I'm preaching to the choir here, know this. But I've also walked into businesses where people said, "I'll be out in a minute," but you want to come out and address the individual customer that's coming into your business. And if you do have employees, I strongly recommend controlling entry into the site, essentially meaning you have somebody at the front desk who can direct or guide somebody who enters into the business. That's a big security point. Because it doesn't allow people just to kind of walk in and wander about. A lot of times we get phone calls into larger businesses where people just walk in and they start taking purses, they start taking laptops. And so you have to have a control site at the front of your business, at the front of the store. And that way you can control who's coming into the workplace. Obviously, we're going to want locks on the front doors, side doors. If you are going to step out, if you are a business that has multiple offices, remind your employees, lock your office. It's very important. That way things don't go missing. Signing in and out, that's always a very good one, so you know exactly who's coming into the business. Access control also has to do with fencing, as well as, let's hopefully say this right, billards, which is lighting that lead people to your business. Maintenance. Crime prevention is a lifestyle, not a one-time effort. I know you guys are all here to kind of understand crime prevention, things you can do to protect your business. And it's not just this one event, this one presentation that you're getting. You need to change how you do business to protect your business and loss from your business. Next slide, please. So here's a perfect example of proper lighting. I'm always going to say, if you go out to your business at night, I would strongly recommend it. When you go out there, you need to have bright white LED lighting. If you step outside and you see yellow lights, that is not good. That is poor, proper lighting. It distorts the color of clothing. It distorts the color of vehicles. You won't be able to see license plates very well. So I am going to ask that you check your property at night. Many of you have probably not done that or paid attention to it. Yellow lighting is bad lighting. You want bright white LED lighting. It really illuminates the area. It gives you proper color. It gives you proper visibility to and from your property. And you could see people from a distance, obviously entering onto the property, let's say from the back, things like that. Next slide. Here's a good example. On the right side, you will see overgrowth to a business and or home. What happens is we don't want that. We don't want that coverage. I know sometimes we may see things that look beautiful from a distance and that, oh, look how nice that looks. But all that does right there is it allows cover for individuals to, let's say, approach the door, kick the door in, pop the door open with the crowbar, and they have cover from that tree. That is improper. It's improper overgrowth of trees right there. On the left slide, you see very well trimmed bushes, trees, the billards there that have the lighting that allow access through there. It makes it safer with the lighting. Imagine the one on the right with no lighting or improper lighting that's very dark. That could be that can attract um, uh, people to come into that area, hide, and ultimately be able to do what they want. They can sleep, um, things like that. So it's important to have vegetation, as you see on the side, controlled, uh, trimmed. Another thing I'd like to point out, if you are interested in looking at changing the landscape, I strongly recommend, if you are a business, let's say that's on Santa Rita, one of our major thoroughfares where we are close to BART, I'm going to recommend to individuals and businesses for what's called harsh vegetation. That is basically thorny bushes. Those are rose bushes. That's things that have thorns that make things very uncomfortable so people can't lay down. People can't hide in between bushes. They're going to get essentially cut if they try to hide in bushes. They're going to, if they try and lay down, it's very uncomfortable for them. Another thing you see on the left photo there, you see a bench. If you have a bench, that's fine. I recommend benches that are individual seated so somebody can't lay across the entire bench. So make a bench have multiple armrests on it so that in a way not one person can lay down and stretch out and fall asleep in front of your business. So if you are going to implement benches, I recommend that. Next slide. This is just an example on the left-hand side. This was in our city here. On the left-hand side, you have overgrowth, and this allows an access point for people to go from one parking lot to another. This is controlling the access. On the right-hand side, we trim that bush back, we trim it down, and then we implement fencing so that people cannot get in between businesses, can commit multiple crimes from one business to another. We want to control that access, make it difficult as possible. Next slide. I think that's it for me. I'm not the license plate reader, so that'll be it for me.
No, now we're gonna turn it over to our crime analyst, Christine Grivard.
Good morning. So Ryan touched on some of the environmental ways that we can look to prevent crime. I'm going to talk about some of the technologies that we have utilized to both prevent and solve crimes occurring in Pleasanton. And just like the chief mentioned earlier, collaboration between the police department and the businesses is critical. These particular technologies can be implemented by the business owners and then shared with the police department so that we can work together to reduce crime. So the first technology I'm going to talk about is the license plate readers we have in our city. We currently have 17 license plate readers in the city. We also have some HOAs in the city that are sharing the technology with us. So these LPRs, for short, help protect your property and your assets. We know that vehicles are used in approximately 70% of crimes. And so being able to identify these vehicles that are being used in commissions of crimes is important. So the way the LPRs work is that they're reading the license plate. There are no personal identifying information attached to these readers. So privacy is not an issue. So these LPRs scan the license plates. Alerts are provided to both our dispatchers and police officers in real time. This allows dispatch to direct officers to locations where these plates are being scanned, and they can then look for these vehicles who are likely going to commit crimes in our city. Since the implementation in 2020, we've had nearly 1,000 alerts sent to our dispatch and officers. Each year that's growing as we build out our infrastructure of cameras, and we have additional private partnerships like our HOAs or our businesses who decide to implement these cameras. The alerts that dispatch and patrol are receiving include stolen vehicles and stolen plates, hot list. So if an agency or a business enters a license plate of a known offender, like these organized retail crime groups are using a certain vehicle to commit their crimes, and this plate is entered into the hot list, we'll get a notification that they're coming into our city to commit crimes. So the LPR technology has also assisted in solving crimes. So after the fact, we're able to go back and look to see what vehicles were in our city. The investigators take that information, do their job, and identify the vehicles that are being used in these crimes. So overall, they generate investigative leads. We're able to intercept the threats as they're entering our town, and we're also able to quickly solve crimes. Next slide. So the other technology that we're using, we have a surveillance camera registry in the city of Pleasanton. So a key point here is that the police department will never have access directly to your cameras. Essentially, the way it works is you go on our website, you complete a form, you enter the location of the cameras, where they point, your contact information. Then our investigators, when they are following up on crimes that have occurred in our city, they're going to look at our camera registry, see where these cameras are located. They can reach out to your business and ask for you to review the video and share any video that you believe would have evidentiary value to our investigations. And just going back to kind of the CPTED aspect of it, having surveillance cameras up at your businesses is also going to deter, hopefully, criminals from committing crimes where they think they might be caught on camera. Recently I had an opportunity to attend a meeting with the senior manager for Walmart Global Investigations. And there is a not so new scam going around, but it is becoming more prevalent, and it's really a national trend for these cash-only card scams. So those of you who have a point of sale where a cashier is completing a transaction, essentially what happens is someone will come in with this cash-only card. They pretend like they're swiping the card, and then they hand it to the cashier and say, oh, there's a two-step verification that's needed. You just need to follow the directions on the back of the card. So the cashier unknowingly follows the directions, which essentially direct them to completing a cash transaction on the register. And once the cash drawer opens, the cashier now thinks that the credit card transaction or the cash card transaction went through, and they've processed a cash transaction where no money has been exchanged. And so the scammer essentially gets the product for free. And a lot of times what they're seeing is they'll then return with the receipt and return the items to then get a cash refund. And now they're walking away with cash instead of the merchandise, which they initially didn't want in the first place. Next.
So next up is our Officer Olson, who's our terrorism liaison officer. He's going to talk about this program and what you can do to report suspicious behavior.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Officer Luke Olson. I'm a patrol officer also assigned to our TLO group. It's been reactivated as of this year, and we're expected to go start reaching out to you guys as of next year. And what you see on the slide is our mission statement. Primarily is to collaborate between businesses and the federal agencies and the intelligence that comes through Pleasanton Police Department. We also provide resource and awareness regarding terrorism, and then act as a liaison between the businesses, you guys, and the police department in general. The Other thing that we do is we stay informed on the current threats, trends, and things that could affect business and commerce in our city. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, we connect you with what is called the Northern California Regional Intelligence Center, or NCRIC. And what it is an intelligence clearinghouse. And that's where all the intelligence goes, and it gets disseminated through the areas and then down to the local departments where it can get to the people that can act on it, like Pleasanton PD. This is a site that is open to the public. What you see on the right-hand part of it with the NCRIC logo is where you as business owners, employees, anyone can go on and report suspicious activity. There's more information on that site. I would encourage you to take a look at it. And you can also contact one of the TLOs at the police department if you want more detailed information. And then on the left-hand side is kind of a list of the things that you as businesses are likely to see, and also that qualify as a suspicious activity that should get reported through this website, or at least contact the police department. Those would include a breach of your property or an attempted intrusion, misrepresentation, meaning someone that tries to gain access through representing themselves or is out on the street representing themselves as a member of your company, thefts, loss, or diversion of funds or materials, sabotage, tampering, vandalism, cyber attack, which is a multifaceted area right now, expressed or implied threat directly against your business, employees, etc. Aviation activity, mostly in there to include drones. And then you can go to the next slide. And then some of the other ones, these are usually a little bit more what we'll run into, but they require additional information and vetting. And that's eliciting information about your business, why your business does what it does, where it gets materials or information from, how it does security, all that kind of interesting information that might seem innocent, but could lead to the next part, which is testing or probing of the security and the business. There's also recruiting or financing, photography, observation, surveillance, materials acquisition or storage, acquisition of expertise, weapons collection or discovery, and then stuff that's specific to the different sectors of business. All of these are things that you may not know on face value of what it is, but again, like this next slide says, if it seems off to you and you know your business and you know your employees, your vendors, etc., if you see something that seems suspicious, seems off, is out of the ordinary, then report it. Report it to the police department. Get a hold of someone. Don't just send an email, because it may be something, but it may not be. But as the panelists on this webinar, we're the subject matter experts for individual disciplines. And that's why we have that training, is to be able to sift through that information. But if we don't get that information from you, then we have no way to sift through it. We don't necessarily have access to the same information that you have when it comes to these little information or data points. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate all of the important information that you've shared. I did neglect to introduce Sergeant Marty Bilt, who was also on this call and was doing the introductions. I want to mention that our this webinar is being recorded, so we will be able to provide a link to this in case you want to review the information that our officers have provided. And at this point, I'd like to open this up for Q&A. So feel free to provide any questions that you may have in the Q&A section of the webinar. We did receive a few questions during the presentation, so I'll go ahead and start off with those questions, and then I'll check to see if any of our attendees have additional questions. So one of the questions was, if my company or I are a victim of a crime, can you explain what will happen with the investigative process? So if anyone can address that.
Or do you want me to take that?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the way this works usually is if a crime is reported to Pleasant Police Department, a patrol officer will go out and gather all the information about the crime itself, what the loss was, any kind of evidence that can be collected out there. And then that case will go to the criminal investigations unit here at the police department. So that's my detectives that we have working out here, and they'll do some follow-up with that case itself. And if there are any leads, then they will attempt to identify a suspect and then make an arrest. Now, with everything that was kind of talked about in this presentation, a lot of the stuff that the detectives have to go on is going to be, those cameras that you may or may not have at your businesses. The license plate readers are extremely important, because if the patrol officer, the detective, gets the information that it's a subject wearing, all black clothing, and that's all we have, then there's really not much to go on. But if there's video evidence of it and it becomes something that's a kind of repeated offense in several areas, several different agencies, and we can identify the individual through multiple crimes, then we might be able to do some more follow-up and identify a suspect that way. But vehicles are very important as well. And like Christine was saying earlier, those license plate readers are extremely important because they actually give us a lead to follow up on. So everything that kind of was covered in this presentation is extremely important to the detectives to even do anything about it. So that's kind of the process itself as far as it goes to investigating those cases.
Thank you, Officer Piddle. So the next question that I received is, if there is a crime in progress, what type of information should be provided to 911 when the business calls?
I don't know if Christine, as a former dispatcher, maybe you can address the W's.
Sure. So really, we just want to know, first of all, where you're at, address as soon as you can provide it, what is happening, and then detailed descriptions of both people and vehicles. And then we want to know if there are any weapons involved. That's just for your safety, our officer safety. And that really determines our response and how quickly we're getting there. So weapons are super important. If they're in a vehicle or leave on foot, a direction of travel also, so that we can try to apprehend the suspect while they're still in the area. Did I forget anything?
Thank you. So I had a couple live questions come in. So there's a message, thank you, Pleasanton Police Department. Will the slide deck be available for the attendees to share with their tenants and employees? We can provide that, correct?
You can share that.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and I'll send up a follow-up email to all of the attendees, and that'll have a link to the slide presentation. And also in the chat, I included the email for the TLO group. And that's essentially tlo@cityofpleasantonca.gov. And then there was also a question about, where can businesses find this information online? Does the Pleasanton Police Department or the city have a printed version of this, or and yeah, so
I can answer that. I know we're going to be launching our new website, I believe on the 16th, but under the crime prevention section of our website, there are some brochures that you can download.
Great. Thank you. So the next question, what are your recommendations on interior lighting during non-business hours for a retail business? And what the question was specific in in the area of California Avenue Business Park area. And the person asking the question says that they're hesitant to draw attention to their facility during unoccupied hours.
I can answer that one if you like. So I would explain that, yeah, I would want you to implement interior lighting, have it on. Bad guys do not like lighting. The darker it is, the more susceptible you are to people snooping around your business, looking into your business, looking to break into your business. When it's dark, they hide at night. So I would say absolutely keep your lights on. Another thing I would strongly recommend for those in the California area, because I know that we have foot traffic. We have unhoused individuals that stay in the area. I would strongly recommend an interactive security camera system that actually engages people coming onto your property. I know they're out there and readily available. By interactive, I mean they will actually call out to the people on the property and report on your behalf. So I would recommend looking into those options. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you, Officer TJ. So the next question is, and I know this is probably a real important question for some of our retail businesses as we get into the holiday season. Should I try to stop the person from committing the crime? Can anyone address that?
I can address it. So really, it's going to depend on your company policy, whether or not you've been trained in arrest and control. Again, it is company policy. We always recommend being a good witness. So get a description of the person, getting a license plate, calling it in. But again, follow your company policy. And if you don't have a policy in place, then definitely be a good witness and get the information you can to our dispatch center.
Thank you, Sergeant Bilt. So the next question, what is the most common crime businesses are facing in Pleasanton, and how can we do better at deterring these crimes before they happen?
Probably up my alley. So theft by far is obviously the largest crime that we have here in Pleasanton. I'm sure that's everybody knows that, but vehicle break-ins, some business break-ins, but just overall theft in general is going to be the largest crime in Pleasanton. And quite honestly, to deter it is going to be the things that we just talked about in this PowerPoint presentation, the lighting, to preemptively try and stop these things. Just like Officer 2J was talking about, individuals do not like being in lighted areas. So the darker it is, the better for them. If they see security cameras, they're going to stay away from those locations. But in reality, if somebody wants to get into a vehicle, get into a business, they're going to do it. It is what it is. So to deter it, all these things that we talked about in the presentation, 100% help. But in reality, if somebody wants to get into somewhere, they're going to do it. So hopefully with all the technology that we are starting to implement, and with the help of your business owners here, maybe we can do something on the back end with my investigations group to at least make an arrest on the back end. But deterring is going to be definitely the lighting, the cameras, and such.
I'd just like to maybe add one thing, is the importance of the information sharing. So if you're a bigger business and you have an internal database where you're keeping information, I know a lot of times just from a dispatch perspective, we'd have different retailers call and say, oh, they're a known theft suspect to us. Share that information with us. If we have that on hand, again, going back to the license plate readers, if we know they drive a certain vehicle, we add it to a hot list. And now we can be proactive instead of reactive. If that vehicle comes into town and it's a known organized retail crime vehicle, we'll start sending officers that way to do a patrol check and maybe deter them or prevent them from attempting any additional crimes in our city.
Thank you. So I have one more last question, but I do welcome our attendees to enter additional questions if you have any. So this question is, do you think security cameras in our city are a good thing to prevent crime and catch offenders?
So I guess I'd have to specify, but security cameras at businesses or just in general? I guess I can answer that generally, but we do have some traffic cameras that we can live view, which Christine just recently was able to get access to. And actually last week we were able to identify a suspect because of the camera system. So that's kind of generally speaking overview for Pleasanton. So yes, absolutely it can help prevent, but it's got to be kind of a live view thing. Now, cameras on businesses, they are going to help the business kind of live view and see what's happening at their business. That may not help the police right away, but cameras are extremely important for the investigation side. So if something does occur, and don't think about just your business itself, if something happens across the street, maybe somebody breaks into a business across the street and it's not your business, but you have cameras, we're going to come to you and see what you picked up on your cameras. So it's kind of a shared service for everybody in that sense. But it's hard to say whether or not they can prevent the crime, but I think they definitely deter it. So I definitely would say that cameras are a good thing. Ryan, you got anything further on that?
Yeah, I do. A perfect example. So at Hop Yard in Valley, to give you a very specific content, the Valero gas station was getting hit a lot. And it was at night, and people would go in, smash the front door, they'd go in and steal cigarettes and whatever else they can get their hands on, lotto tickets, etc. It was becoming a pretty big problem at that particular gas station. I met with the owner. This was a couple years ago, and I encourage all of you to go by there and check it out for yourself. And you heard me mention it earlier. They have an interactive camera system that actually engages people on their property. There's several of them out there. And I would highly recommend it because it is somebody that's there. It is a service you are paying for that actually engages people when they enter onto your property. It will tell them to leave your property. And if they don't leave the property, they will call the police. These are the things that you want when you're not at the business at night. Again, I strongly recommend it. Any camera system is great. But if you're looking for that next level, I, again, strongly recommend camera systems that engage people that truly prevent crime. And I've seen it ever since this gas station, Valero, implemented this particular camera system. They have seen a massive reduction in their business being hit. So it's just worth checking out.
Lisa, let me add something. If you're
Yeah.
going to get a camera system, make sure you understand how it works. There's a lot of times when we are doing investigations that no one knows how these camera system works, and we have to wait until the general manager or another manager comes in on the following Monday or the following week to get it. So make sure more than one person is trained on the camera system, whatever you choose to get.
Thank you. So I don't see any other live questions that have come in. And so we can wrap this up. Sergeant Bill, did you have any last comments or any closing remarks before I also do a closing?
Yeah, thanks again to all the panelists for being involved in sharing your expertise. I know this is a quick snapshot of 1 hour, which could be weeks long of training of different areas. So reach out to us if you do have questions. As you can tell, there's a wide array of expertise here, and we're always willing to partner with our businesses and our community because it does take all of us to make a community safe. So thanks again for attending, and I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you. So I want to echo Sergeant Bill's sentiment. Thank you to all of our subject matter experts on this panel. As you can tell, our business community are Pleasanton Police Department is committed to having a safe business environment here in Pleasanton. Very thankful for the partnership that the Economic Development Office and our Pleasanton Police Department could provide for our businesses. As I mentioned, the webinar is being recorded. It'll be posted and uploaded to the City of Pleasanton's YouTube channel shortly, so you should be able to view it there, but I will send a follow-up email to those that attended with that information, as well as contact information for the Pleasanton Police Department, some of the areas that were covered today. And as Sergeant Bill mentioned, the City of Pleasanton is launching a new website. And so there'll be information on the website regarding this subject as well. So again, thank you to Lieutenant Gomez, who's not on the call anymore, but he did a lot of collaboration to get all of these subject matter experts on the call, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all again for attending, and be safe out there. And if you see something, say something, call the Pleasanton Police Department. Thank you all and have a great day.